Okay, check out this old brick building in Norman, Oklahoma. I don't know what this building was used for, but it looks condemned. It's definitely abandoned. The windows are boarded up, stuff like that. So I'm gonna walk around and just see. There's a sign that says state property. So I guess the state of Oklahoma now controls this or something. Wow. Okay, so that little insignia up here says American Legion. This is a really cool wooden door. And look at that metal work. Very interesting. This one as well. I bet the inside of this place looks insane. All right. It's a beautiful spring day in Oklahoma and laid by Fletcher Odell, Pledger, Post American Legion of Oklahoma, Cleveland County, Stanley L. Moore, Post Commander, Post 88, March 22nd, 1936. 1936. Let's see here. (1936) was nearly 100 years ago at this point, which is crazy. Nearly 90 years ago. And that was during the Great Depression before World War II. Anyways, I was saying it's a beautiful day in Oklahoma. It's actually a little cool. It feels warm to me, but it's a little cool. The temperature dropped over 30 degrees between yesterday and today. Yesterday it was nearly 90. Today, the high was in the low 60s or upper 50s, something like that. So it's much cooler today. There was a cold front that came through. But this building over here, looks even crazier. There's like metal cages behind those big pillars, and you can see obviously the windows are messed up, and it's an impressive looking building. So here on the north side of the building, as you can tell, this is flooded. This is completely flooded. That's a little spooky. So I just got a glimpse of the interior through that little crack in the window, and that was very interesting. Very interesting. I'm not sure what to make of it, but it looks grand. Just want to check out the other building over here. just to the west. These other ruins. Again, it's state property. It doesn't look like as grand of a structure in terms of the, I don't know what the word is, but the other building was very like Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade type style. In the interior, at least from what it looked like. At least it had some sort of very traditional architectural aspects. This one just looks like more of a brick building, although and the front did have those Greek or Roman pillars. You can see the difference between the other building and then this building over here. This one is flat topped. It's almost in the style of a school or a residential building or an asylum. I don't know, but it is more uniform. It's just got the perfect amount of vines growing on the walls. It's Eastern redbud. Think of all the stories, people that were here have to tell, or had to tell. I don't know exactly what went on. I will do some research. I'm sure there's an easy answer. There's a basketball hoop, there's some kitchens in there, like it's got to be some sort of, living quarters of some kind, but I'm not sure. But anyways, these were just off of a pretty well-trafficked road in Norman, Oklahoma, south of Oklahoma City. And it is now left to rot. These buildings are left to waste away. They are no longer maintained. Okay, after some light Google research, I have learned that this was an insane asylum. So I've got to do a lot more research because I'm sure lots of crazy things happened in here. This was the first building we looked at, and I'll be back real quick with some more information. Okay, really fascinating story. This was an insane asylum, but first, it was a women's school. It was a school for women. It was built in the late 1800s, but in 1899, the women's school realized they could not compete with the University of Oklahoma. We are in Norman after all, so the University of Oklahoma is nearby. They couldn't compete, so they sold it to the Oklahoma Sanitation Company. Sanatorium, let me just double check. The Oklahoma Sanitarium Company. That makes more sense. Sanitarium Company. Okay, so that's a mental institution. It's an insane asylum, basically. And they owned this place until 1915. But prior to 1899, there was no place in Oklahoma, then known as Indian Territory. This was Indian Territory. Oklahoma means land of the red people or land of the redskins. It was the designated large Indian reservation west of the Mississippi for the longest time, until bits of land were sold off to white people. So prior to 1899, there was no place for what they called violently insane people to go to. In fact, all mentally ill people, all people they deemed necessary to be in an insane asylum, they were sent to Illinois to be taken care of, or not taken care of, or to be locked up, whatever, however you see it. Okay, so anyways though, after the state of Oklahoma took over in 1915, that was actually when they passed an act known as the Lunacy Bill. And so that's when they developed their statewide mental institution system, I suppose. And yeah, I should note that they, in 1899, the Sanitarium Company hired a psychiatrist that actually served here until 1950. So he served for 51 years. And yeah. Apparently this place is patrolled by security and monitored by video surveillance, so you shouldn't enter, and I did not enter, so yeah. It's a very interesting place. This building did serve different purposes after it ceased to exist as an asylum. I just don't know that post-history very well, but you can do plenty of research on it online. All right, there you go. That was the first building. One last note. In the early 2000s, this building was actually looked at being restored, but it proved too costly, way too costly, and so it was never restored. In November of 2010, arson happened here, and so it was burned. It was burned first and second floors. Fires were set. Firefighters responded, but so anyways, there was a fire here in the year 2010, so about 13 years ago, nearly 13 years ago. Guys, I just learned that those metal bars we saw in the other building, that was used also to contain mentally ill people. Apparently they did all sorts of things like lobotomies, water therapy, electric therapy. So that was another insane asylum, and at least it was another building used to treat insane people. So yeah, those cages that I pointed out earlier, that I showed earlier in the video, those were used for crazy people, or who they thought they were crazy. Who knows if they were really crazy. All right, so both of those buildings that we saw were used at some point to treat mentally crazy, insane, ill people. I mean, they called them insane, they called them crazy. I don't know if they were actually crazy or insane, but they were in a mental institution, and both of those buildings were used for that purpose. Crazy history. I'm sure there's plenty more. I barely scratched the surface, but yeah, this is right in the middle of Norman. People pass by those buildings every single day. I wonder how many of them actually know what it is. Maybe a lot of them do. I'm not from here, so I don't know for sure. But anyways, there you go. Abandoned buildings in Norman with a crazy history, crazy mental institution past.